Welcome back to Risk Valor. I'm your host, Alyssa, and today, episode 7 is with Aundrea Nichols. I'm super excited for this. She is another veteran from the Marine Corps. She is a devoted mother, and she's an aspiring pastor who has triumphed through life's most challenging things. Actually, in her own word, she said, it's like going through hell to back or hell and to hell and back, but multiple times, which I loved. So without waiting any longer, Aundrea, welcome.
Hi, how are you doing?
Good. I'm super excited for you to be here.
I
So
am happy to be here.
I know we had a really good phone conversation. I always say that to every girl and everything on here is like everyone has such unique stories. And then I get such good feedback from other people in the community about, wow, that really helped me, or oh, I'm not alone. It's a cool thing.
Yes, and it's easy to feel alone because there are so many topics that people just it's like taboo, or
Oh
just not
yeah.
talked about enough for people to feel comfortable to be out of their shells on it. When it's
Oh,
like, me too. That's a Me Too movement. Yes, me
yeah.
too.
Like legit, me too.
Exactly.
I know. So I'm just going to kick it off with the best question. So, can you share with us that pivotal moment or many pivotal moments where you realize the importance of having perspective in life or what really shifted that for you?
Let's see. Oh man, there.
Yeah.
Let's just put it that way. Like what hasn't been a pivotal moment might be a little bit easier because
Hmm.
really honestly I grew up with the kind of background that you would think like life was going to be smooth sailing
Hmm.
after that, you know? So it really started off like everything's going to go great. We're going to make it.
Yeah.
And there were so many moments where you're just sitting at the bottom and you're like, okay, so this is not what we envisioned. This was not I when I wrote down the plan, this wasn't elemental or P. Like
Yeah.
what happened here? How did we get here? So
Yeah.
I've had many moments that have been really life changing for me. I
Hmm.
mean, even so much as I was 19 and pregnant, that was like huge wake up call. that
Yeah.
was like, okay, so we have to grow up today. We have to do
Yeah.
a lifetime of aging right now. And
Absolutely.
so that was really a life changing moment for me because it meant that it was no longer about me. Like it was really kind of like taking yourself and shelving you a little bit to understand that there's a lot more that has to go on in front of you. And
Definitely.
from then that really launched me into who I am. And honestly, she's made me such I can attribute everything that I am today probably to her,
I love
because
that.
I have become so progressive since then. It's really like a self-reflection because they say your kids are who you are.
Hmm.
So if you see something in your kid that you don't like, then you might want to look back at yourself, because a lot of those things they're mirroring from you. So it was really like, okay, now I really have to become a better person in about zero point 0.5 seconds to be better for her so she can be better, be better than me.
I feel that 100%. I always say that about my son too. I'm like, if he's being like, okay, I'm sure maybe a lot of parents share this or mothers. My mom always told me, I hope your kids are just like you. And by God, sometimes he is just like me. And I'm like, curses.
You're like, maybe a little less, maybe a little less.
I'm like, it's like arguing with a miniature version of me. And I'm like, I can't, like, what? I'm
What do
like,
I
I can't
say?
argue. You're a great arguer. I'm like, but I'm like, it's a back and forth, but it's fun. I mean, because then all the good parts are also reflected. So it's not all the bad stuff. It's
Exactly.
it's not
It's
bad.
both.
Yes, it's a nice little balance. But I know when you were so did you transition out of the military when you were pregnant or after you already had your daughter?
No, actually, you don't know what? That was pretty intense because back then, 11 years ago, for all you girls in the military now that have all
Yeah.
these great rights,
Oh my
I'm here
God.
for it.
Yeah.
But we didn't have that. We
Mhm.
didn't have that when I was Lance Corporal and I was pregnant.
Yeah.
Like when I found out I was pregnant, I was already pretty like, what? Because
Yeah.
like I was okay. I was not the nurturing type. Let's just put
Okay.
it that way.
Yeah.
Like, I was not the girl that you handed the baby and they were like, oh my gosh. I was like,
You're a
don't hand that
natural.
baby to me. Don't you give me that. I don't know what that is. It's sticky. I don't know how I feel about it. Like, that was me, right?
Yeah.
My daughter's diaper, first diaper I ever changed.
Oh
Like,
wow. Yeah.
okay. I didn't even have baby dolls, okay, growing
Yeah.
up. Like, that's how it
Hmm.
was. So it was different because when I transitioned, I actually chose to stay in. And
Okay.
really, that was a hard choice because back then it wasn't like how it is now, where when you're pregnant, everyone's like, oh, congratulations, whatever, right? They're like nice about it.
Yeah.
No, back then it was like, so are you going to get an abortion or are you going to get out? And I was like,
Oh, like, excuse me, what?
okay. So this just heated up real quick,
Yeah,
you
0 to
know,
60.
in like no seconds.
Yeah.
So I
That's
really had to
awful.
figure it out. And that was hard. That was really hard to overcome because you already feel alone when you're so young and pregnant and by
Yeah.
yourself. And then you add on to that, your whole chain of command is looking at you like, demon child. She's got
Girl,
to
I
get out.
know.
We got to get her out of here. Um,
That's
if it
crazy. I was
wasn't
gonna,
for a couple of
yeah.
good people, then I probably wouldn't have made it.
Yeah. No, and we're glad you did because you have plenty of amazing things happening and your kids love you and you have another one.
Yes,
So, is it
yes.
two girls, right?
Yeah, all girls. All my poor
All
husband,
girls.
all women around here.
That's how I
Just.
grew up. It was me and three other sisters. So I was like, sorry, Dad. A lot of
I have
estrogen.
four brothers,
Oh,
so
wow.
like no estrogen. So I was just like, "What are girls? What do
Yeah.
you do with them?
Yeah.
They like pink. Sounds great. Let's do it."
Yeah. I love that. But no, I would, to kind of backtrack to what you're saying, I have a similar, I can, associate myself with that because for me, it was 5 years ago now. In 2019 is when I got out and I had
Okay.
my son while still serving. And as a young officer, usually how it works, at least for the Army, and I'm sure it's obviously similar across, is like officers didn't have kids and get married and settle down. Maybe they would get married, but they wouldn't have kids until they were captains. I was literally, I just pinned first lieutenant. So I mean, that's like the next rank from butter bar. And
Yes.
it was just like, oh my God. And I was like, I'm married, like it's fine. Like, yeah,
Like,
why is it such a big deal? But it was because, oh, well, you're supposed to be a leader, you're supposed to be in the field. Like I actually had a lot of issues with my uh, first commander when I like had my son. And I remember I specifically chose to breastfeed. And they're like, well, just use formula. I'm like, nope, my choice is to
that's
breastfeed my
the
son.
yes.
So I was pumping, I have pictures from inside a Humvee, inside of tents, inside these broken down buildings. I'm like, there's supposed to be sanitary water. I'm like, I had to bring alcohol wipes. I brought everything and a cooler in the back of my Humvee so that I could like store it and then bring it back with me. Like it was
Feels. Feels.
ridiculous.
Girl, I was 8 months pregnant in the middle of a Humvee wiring up a radio because nobody else knew how to do it. Like, it was I yes, I understand you. Like, went to the field and I was
Yes.
like in the corner trying to pump, like trying to I did the same thing. Yeah, it's rough. They really like,
Yeah.
ooh,
And then I
and it's
ended up
hard.
It is. And I ended up nursing my son for 3 years. So even after, I know that's like long for, so they're like, oh my God, how would you do that? I'm like, for me, it was like, it's been me and him since he was one, like on our own. Me and
Yeah.
his dad divorced and everything. So I'm like, to me, that was like our time. Even,
That's your
even the fact that we still co-sleep is like, oh my God, to some people, I'm like, this is my dude. Like, it's been me and him
just
forever. And I'm like, I don't want to I was hard to let go of the nursing, but I was like, okay, we're having a conversation while we're doing this. It's kind of weird. So I'm like,
you're like, okay, maybe.
I'm like, we shouldn't be having like, how was your day? Like,
He's like,
so I'm like,
good,
yeah.
how's yours?
So, yeah. So I'm like, okay, next thing. And now the co-sleeping thing, there's nights when I'm like, you have this big ass bed and like I get this much of it. But I'm like, and now that he's with his dad for like a few weeks for summer, I'm like, I'll do anything to just take a sliver of the bed next to my son.
Come
Please say I
back.
want some more. I know.
I
So
like sleeping like this.
yeah,
Like,
I love having back problems in the morning.
yeah.
No, but I totally feel that. And I think not many people talk about like breastfeeding in the military or nursing or being pregnant. And because a lot of people get
What
out,
is
there's like
it?
a chapter now, like that you can just a family something or whatever. Because my one best friend, she's heading out. She just found out she's pregnant with her second with her pregnant. I can't even talk.
It's okay.
And I'm like, why is it so complicated for like whether it's your rank or not? Because usually the soldiers and everything I want to say are a little bit more protected when it comes to kids. The officers, it's like you're held to a entirely different made up standard.
Yeah.
And not saying there's give and take to both sides, because there is, and
There
depending on
is.
where you're at and who your leadership is. But mine was just kind of like, well, you're required to be in the field and blah blah blah. And I was like, whatever, I'll be out there. Like, I'm not complaining. I said, however, I
I'll
am going
go.
to I am going to nurse. I'm going to be pumping, so don't mind me in the FLA. Just pumping in the
Just
back
doing
of
it.
with someone guarding the back. I'm like, not that you really want to see this. It's not an attractive view. It's
No,
disturbing, honestly,
it's not.
disturbing.
It may
The
actually
yeah.
detract you.
I'm like, you just want to
You're
see a
like,
suctioning, like
oh,
a milk just being
that's
milked
how
like a
that
cow.
works.
Yeah. I'm like, but when you choose that, that's so big. Family care plans is what we called it. But I'm like, no
Same,
one's gonna tell
same.
me how to raise my damn kid or how to
And
nurture them.
it is so, and then like the unrealistic expectation to be like unhuman in that
Yeah.
aspect. Like it's almost as if the you outside of out of the uniform didn't exist in some way,
Yeah.
shape, or form. But it's like, but we exist. Like we're people. Like
Yeah.
we're
Humans.
still people. We're human.
No, you're a
Hi, you
soldier
know.
first.
And it's oh gosh, Marine 24/7 all the time. And I get it. I was like gung ho all
Yeah.
about it. I mean, I checked into corporal's course the day I returned from maternity leave.
Yeah.
Like I was in it to win it. Like
Yeah. I
I ran
know.
a 290 PFT and CFT that day. I was like, let's go. Go.
Yeah.
What you gonna tell me now? You
Yeah.
can't tell me nothing. Exactly.
I
Like,
love that. I was the same
because
way.
otherwise they'll just drag you. Oh man, you'll get drugged. Like they will just like you're never re-enlisting.
Yeah, and I think that the difference is like women like you and me, there's not a lot of them. Because if I remember correctly, when I was like with the maternity group, because they made us do separate PT, obviously, because it's a very different
We
situation we're
didn't
going
have
through.
that.
Oh,
We
pregnancy
didn't have
PT.
that.
Oh,
No, no,
yeah.
at all. Like I actually ran outside of the platoon because technically you're not allowed to stand in formation when you're pregnant.
Yeah.
And I was a platoon sergeant. So I was like, cool, then I'll stand outside the formation and we'll just run it.
Yeah.
What? Say something. No one's going to say nothing to me. Sounds great.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want anyone going on the back burner being like, oh, look, she got pregnant and now she doesn't do anything.
And
This is
and
why.
and that was like the biggest thing, was like, how do you balance, like, I'm being a mom, I'm being a leader, or and you were a platoon sergeant, so that's a leadership role. It's like, how
Yeah.
did you find that balance to gain that respect back? Because that was another thing too, is like, you got to lose the weight, you got to pass your PT test, you got to be back in your boots ready to freaking rock and roll. And I was ready for that. I didn't even wear the maternity outfit. I was like, screw that, I'm wearing my boots, I'm wearing my damn husband at the time's pants if it fits, because I want to look like a normal person
Yes.
besides the big balloon growing under me. I was like trying to
Like
normalize
this
everything.
is nothing.
Yeah. I'm like, I still got
This
my
is my
boots on.
beer gut.
I'm like, I had to
Like,
put my foot up like really high to tie the boots. But other than that, we were good. I'm like, you can't reach down past a certain, I couldn't.
no,
I had to roll
no,
out of bed.
no. I actually had two of my friends put on my boots for me in the morning because I was like, okay, so I got the sock on, but the boot's going to be another problem. I
You
can't
gotta
do
lace it up. Oh my God. Like, I can't do this right now. I don't have time for this. But that transition it's hard when you, like, in my mind, I thought I was gonna be in the military for a long time. Granted,
that.
things are going on right now that I'm like, maybe made the right choice at a
You
good
know,
time.
yeah.
Come again. Yeah.
Same. And I was out in 2017. So
Okay.
I did like the worst transitional choice of a lifetime. Like I
Yeah.
don't know what in my brain was like, that's a good idea. But it was not a good idea.
Yeah.
Like it's a no.
Yeah.
Um I left like right after being a drill instructor.
Okay.
So like transition, going from being large and in charge drill instructor yelling at
Yeah.
people, like absolutely no ability to like properly converse with,
Yeah.
with humans. Okay, like in
Just a
general,
savage.
and like female drill instructors on Paris Island, like
No
it's not how
mercy.
there is no mercy. Like there,
Yeah.
you're either in or you're out, and you know where you stand very quickly.
Yeah.
And so you're going to either be taken care of or good luck.
Yeah. May the force be
Good
with
luck.
you. Yeah.
Yes. So then when I got out and then I moved to California, like all, just
Mhm.
trying to reintegrate yourself into
Yeah.
being with people and then being with people that are hypersensitive is like a whole nother
Yeah.
epidemic when you're just so not because you didn't have to be, you know?
I
It's
know.
just that part right there. I probably would have looking back be like, maybe we should go to a regular unit before we get out so we know how to talk to people in a
Because they
regular
don't teach you
way.
that. Yeah, they don't transition you out like thinking, oh, I have to speak to like even right now with like employees, there's times that I just want to be like, you don't understand what I was allowed to be. Like, and there was no like, even if I fired you, you weren't fired from the army. You just moved somewhere else with someone else who could deal with you.
Exactly.
I'm like, because there's people was like, yeah, he says he's got like, I don't even. This dude was saying that he had like like, oh, I get chronic migraines. I'm like, really? Because you've been staring at a computer forever, and the sun doesn't bother you. So I'm like, what do you mean you have chronic? I'm like, I don't need you here. I'm like, I need people who are not going to complain. But he just
I
went
need people to do
somewhere
their job.
else. Whereas here, it's like people don't want to work, they don't want to do anything, and I heard that's like a trend in the military as well. Like there's a lot of retention is bad, period, right now, for
That's
obvious
what I'm
reasons.
hearing. Yeah, that's what I'm
Really
hearing. And I'm
bad.
like, oh, I'm kind of glad I'm not there. I'm like,
Yeah, because you'd be doing something outside of your scope because that's how bad it is that they're just making people do whatever. Like infantry
whatever.
guys are doing maintenance. I'm like, I would
Yeah.
be not okay with,
No, no.
like I didn't even learn this. I don't even know what this is.
I'm like, what do you do with this?
Like everything's
Like,
made up and the points don't matter.
it sounds great, right?
Like that
Like,
sounds about right. But yeah, so I don't so I know we talk about like you're going you're training or I don't know what you call it. You're becoming a pastor. You're in the process of it.
yes, I'm going to
So
school.
going to school for it.
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
when has faith always been an important part of your life, number one? And like number two, how did this piece, like the aha moment, like this is what I need to do? Was it a
Mhm.
calling? How'd that work for you?
For me, I mean, oh man, I grew up like Roman Catholic, like
Mhm.
super strict. I mean,
Yeah.
I had nuns in high school, all
Wow.
girls high school. Like,
Yeah.
okay, like
Okay.
we're just okay, just trauma.
Got
We
trauma.
need to
Yeah.
go to therapy for that. We're probably still recovering, but
Yeah.
that's probably where the judgment piece comes in.
Yeah.
And so when I joined the military, I was like, yes, I still believed in God, but I wasn't very adamant about my
Hmm.
beliefs, right? And for a while there, I mean, to be honest, being pregnant for me the first time I was so depressed.
Yeah.
I mean, I was so depressed because it was just I felt like the weight of everything was against me. And I like, there's just, I'm not going to make it, And
Yeah.
that's how I felt like every day. And so, honestly, I think that was kind of my turning back point into faith because I was like, I'm not going to make it if
Yeah.
I can't pull myself out of this. And it is me and it is you, like,
Yeah.
I mean, I remember hearing the door close behind me in my apartment, and I was in Japan, so they have the doors, so it's just like the door like slamming
Oh
shut,
my God.
and it literally felt like, I mean, I like the door literally slamming, and then I emotionally felt like that was the all right, this
Wow.
is it, like that is done with, like we have to get ourselves together, and we can do this. I would not be put in this situation if I could not get through it.
Yes.
I would not be here if I could not get through it. So just gonna take it every day at a time. And I mean, it literally at this point was just like, I wake up, okay, I'm thankful to be here, and we're just gonna move forward from that. Even if that's the only thing that I have today that was good about the day, then that's all right. We're just
Yeah.
gonna go on with that. And then I from there, honestly, I'd have to attribute a lot of it to like God really meeting me where I was at that point in my life, and
Yeah.
different people really coming to me and and speaking a word that they don't even know that I need in that moment,
Mm-hmm.
that is just getting me through to the next station. And when I was getting ready to transition out, I was like, you know what? I have really been through it. Like I was pregnant, I was left alone to be pregnant. I got married because I thought that was the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously that didn't work out. We got divorced. It
Yeah.
was really ugly, you know.
Yeah.
And then I was like essentially giving up my what I was in love with being a Marine. Like
Mm-hmm.
that to me was the worst heartbreak, was
Yeah.
having to get out. But I had to get out because my daughter looked at me and was like, I thought if you loved me, you would stay home. And I was like, I'm out. I'm, I'm just
Oh, I'm signing right now. Yeah, I know.
out of here. Take the uniform. I don't need any of this anymore. And
uh,
in that moment, I was like, you know what? I'm going to make all of this matter.
yep.
I'm going to make all of this matter because I'm pretty sure there's other people that feel just like me, who feel like that who they are and where they are, that maybe it's tarnished them in a way that they can't believe and they can't be a believer and they can't, be this beacon of light because they were a young mom, because they are divorced, because they aren't financially stable, because at the time I really wasn't, because they just don't
Mm-hmm.
have a leg to stand on. But really, like, that is why you are.
Yeah.
Like, that is why you are, because despite all of those things, they talk about, like, in the Bible, like going through the fire and not smelling like smoke.
Mm-hmm.
I've been through the fire. If you look at me now, I don't smell like smoke. Everybody looks at my life and they're like, oh wow, like you got the husband and he's hot. And
Yeah.
you got the cute baby
Yeah.
and the well together, put together older child, and everything looks beautiful and nice. And I'm like, yeah, but girl, I fought for that.
Yeah.
And I had to fight myself for that at some points, and
Yeah.
really like battle through it. I mean, I lost my dad a month before my wedding, and he was
Oh,
the man of my life. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, and I made it, right? Like I did it. I could do it. I could do it because I have something stronger than me that I believe in, right? And so for me, there's no way I would have made it without that. I mean, there were times where literally, like, my dad was really ill for a while, so I cared for him.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a point where it really hit me that, like, my dad, the man I knew, wasn't there anymore
Mm-hmm.
because he was just so ill, right? Um, and I was just like in the car. I mean, I was driving and it just like I got a phone call that he had another stroke, and
Oh,
I was already going through it, and
yeah.
COVID had hit, and I was just like, oh my gosh, how are we gonna make it? And
Wow.
I like pull over the car, I'm just like crying, and all of a sudden I just feel like warmth around me. Like I just needed a hug, and I felt like
Mm-hmm.
warmth around me. And I just remember thinking, like, this is it. Like, this is the presence that I needed. Like, this is
Yeah.
the presence, right? And I have felt that same feeling probably every time I've hit a really rough milestone, right? And so to me, it's just like having him, having God with me throughout that whole process. I'm like, I'm not alone. And that's why I can do it.
No, that's so
Even in the
powerful.
moments that you feel alone, you're not alone. That's why you can,
Mm-hmm.
and there's other people there that are going to be there for you. Right. And so 100% of why I'm here is is dedicated to that.
No, absolutely. I mean, and you're pursuing faith on a different level too, to speak to others and, to be able to teach the word. And I know that was something that we talked about on the phone a little bit, is like faith, because I grew up Lutheran, which I mean, right now I'm kind of like, I love God. Like whatever that means, I'll be
Ta-da.
that.
Yes.
So, I mean, I've been to non-denominational, I've been to so many different kinds of churches. Not that I think being in a church makes you any more of a Christian than standing in a garage makes you a car, because I can't go all the time. But I have brought my son, and like if he likes it, I'm like, okay, because it's hard to keep them entertained. But there was a point in time when I was married that my husband at the time was agnostic, and then he flirted with atheism. Like we would talk different different theories, and we would watch documentaries on how this is why religion is just a business, religion is just a this and that. I'm sure you've heard it all. And
Yes.
I still hear the conspiracies. I'm interested in conspiracy theories, but there's something like deep rooted in my faith that I'll always be God fearing, and that it was such a big part of my life, and to have like lost that for a little bit was losing a piece of me. I mean, I was praying all the time. I would have conversations with God. And then it came to the point when I was going through my darkest moments. I I always made it a point though, which is interesting. I think I've always been God fearing, because I'd be like, well, God, why are you doing this to me? I'm like, I don't talk to you anymore and I don't see you anymore, but I'm mad at you. Like, why are you being mad at something that doesn't exist, Alyssa? Like, no, that's me being God fearing. I'd always be like, curses. Like, why would you do this to me?
Why?
I must be the only human going through this. And then you look at it in retrospect and you're like, okay. But I'm back to that. I've been working on it. I pray for every podcast, like, please let whatever message needs to be come out. And that's something that my friend Natalia taught me. Because I was like, I pray all the time, but I'm like, let me pray for the podcast too, because I think there's something valuable in everyone's stories, just like yours. So I'm sure you have something to share. Like, how would you encourage other women to use faith as or what have you, like, what can you tell them about, getting through those hard patches, that they aren't alone, that there is faith, there is someone who's got your back?
I mean, God will send you what you need. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes those hard places is what you need.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a mess. Like I before having my daughter, like I was a wild child. I was living la vida loca. I was having fun.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, no regrets.
Yeah.
And so I feel like a lot of people feel alone or they think they're alone. But really, if you could just take a step back from where you are, like I think a lot of it has to do with perspective,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you have a little bit of faith, that can take you a very long way. It can take you a very, very long way. I mean, there are so many instances where I see people, and I have met people, right, where you meet someone and they say something to you and you're like, how did you know? Like, that's it right there. That's your proof right
Mm-hmm.
there that you were asking for. Sometimes it's not going to be a Bruce Almighty moment where you have
Yeah.
the truck of signs in front of you and they're blaring, right? Sometimes it's a quiet voice in your heart, right? Sometimes it's a quiet thought in your mind that you're just like, oh, I have this about me, that I've really been thinking about it. Well, stay true to that. I feel like the problem is that a lot of people will bend the knee and fall, and they won't pick themselves back up. They don't want to
Yeah.
get back up. They stay in that hard place. It's like if you're going through hell, why are you going to stay in hell?
Yeah. Get the fuck
Keep it
out.
moving.
Yeah.
Keep it moving.
Yeah.
Get out of there.
Yeah.
You gotta start moving. You know what I mean? He's gonna meet you where you're at, but not if you're not gonna put in any work towards yourself. You can't
Mm-hmm.
sit in a space and feel sorry for yourself and think, woe is me. Well, yeah, woe is you, but you're not willing to make any forward progression, right? And all of those hard moments, like I didn't just sit there and stay in it. Yeah, I let myself feel it, of course. Of course.
Yeah.
You have to let yourself feel sad. You have to let cry it out, get it out.
Emotion.
It has to get out. But you can't stay there. Use that to fuel yourself. Like I was so sad about being alone that I used every bit of it to be like, I am never going to feel like this again. I'm going to do everything so that I can never feel like this again.
Mhm.
I'm going to find me because a lot of people don't have sense of self either. So then they try to find sense of self in others. Well, you're not going to because they're not you. What you needed was to find you first. So I think a lot of women, it's like society puts this really big pressure that, we need other people or we need this. Well, really, like you really need yourself first.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of women they need themselves first. Like they talk about like I just want to find a husband and I just want to find a man. You want to know when I met my husband? The day after I graduated from my freedom course. In
Mm-hmm.
my biggest thing in my freedom course that I wanted to figure out how to love myself.
Wow.
How
Oh,
like
weird.
goosebumps. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I had to figure out how to love myself before I could find someone that's gonna love
Yeah.
me
That's
because
gonna be there.
right? Like, how are they going to love you? I don't even love me. Like, we can't do that.
And what's so powerful too is that I keep hearing that trend with a lot of the women I'm talking to about there's this hype about self-awareness, self-care, self-love. I love myself. I'm competent. I'm this. And then how many people actually mean it when they say it? Because I'm still on the journey. And honestly, every strong woman would say, I'm still on the journey. I'm going to always be on this journey. You just do it better every day or every maybe it takes
Exactly.
weeks because you're constantly changing. Like my life is not like what it used to be in college. I was also living La Vida Loca at one point. So, and it's things are different. I'm evolving. So people don't realize that that is a constant thing. But to just put it out there like, oh, yeah, I love myself. Like, honestly, it's hard to sit with myself sometimes. I'm like, why the hell we like this girl? I'm like, what the
It's
like
self
my
to
little
self.
devil and
What?
my angel.
Yes.
I'm like, who are you? Like, did you need to say it like that? Oh my God. But I also think we're in a culture that's very anti God, anti faith,
Oh,
because
it's a war.
those people want
It's
to
a
be God.
war.
They want to be the decision makers. They have to get rid of God because God, if people have faith and believe in God, then they're not going to want to listen to what we have to say.
And not just that, but it's like, how do you displace a person? You have to shake them at their core,
Yeah.
right? So you display, if I can make you think that you no longer need to value your own image of yourself, well, I've got full control because now you're going to look for me for that image of self, right? That's why I think it is such a big deal that you have an image of self. I don't care if it's good, bad, or ugly. Cool. If you look at yourself and you're like, wow, I hate everything. I am so glad that you looked at yourself. Like, I don't even care that you found 10 things that you don't like.
Yeah.
It's just the fact that you acknowledged you, right? That's start there. Start there because that's where I
Mhm.
started. I
Yeah.
started at the bottom of like, I hate everything. Everything's horrible.
Yeah.
Right. And
Life.
then I was like, well, is it really that bad? I've been given the opportunity to raise someone and better myself and find that love and be loved by her unconditionally. Like, wow,
Mm-hmm. Nothing beats
wow,
that.
really? Nothing beats that.
Mm-mm.
And then have that and turn it into something great and become something better because of it. You have it's like all of these things are just fuel for the tank. You just gotta take it, put it in your pack, and know that at some point in time you're gonna meet somebody who needs it. I had someone reach out to me, and I was like, "This is my moment.
Yes.
I'll give you all the answers because there is no one there for me. So
Yeah.
whenever you need." You ask, I'll tell. I'll tell it all. I'll tell you all, good, bad, or ugly. I am not shy to share because I wish someone had been shy to share it with me.
It's vulnerability.
I exactly. And you need that. You need that
Hmm.
in the community. You need it.
You
You have
do.
to be open.
I know, and it's a
You
hard thing. It's like being vulnerable is weakness. Like, no, it's not. It's being real. It's being raw. It's like facing yourself. And I read somewhere, I'm reading I read a bunch of books, but one of them is like self-sabotage. I can't even talk. Self-sabotaging habits.
okay.
And it's very eloquently written, but one of them is like when you see something in someone that you're like, ah, I really don't like that. Usually it's because part of that is something that's inside of you that you don't like. It's very
Which is like
interesting.
scary.
And you're like,
You're like,
how dare you offend me like this? You're right, but I don't like it.
you're like, that hurt. That
Yeah,
hurt a lot. Okay.
it's
No,
wild.
really. It is. It is because I mean, I had someone approach me and they were like, "Oh, I just found out I'm pregnant and I don't want to be. Like I don't know if I want to do this." And I'm like, then there, as there, say it. Say it. That's okay to say. That's
Yeah,
okay to say.
you're
Like
feeling it.
like you're feeling it, say it. I think that's the part, right? Like what you're saying, like self-sabotage, right? Talking about, oh, we don't like that in ourselves. Well, then recognize that you don't like it in yourself. That's okay. There's a lot of things that we're still, getting. I don't like that, for myself. I'll point myself out, right? I like to wear a sports bra and leggings. I feel comfortable in it. I feel good in it. I may not have the body that I used to, but I will be like, whatever.
Yeah,
We're gonna love me where we're at right now,
yeah.
right? But somewhere in my brain, I'm like, does that make me less of a God fearing woman because I'm walking around? in a sports bra and leggings? Like does that, because my midriff is showing, that makes me less right? And it's like, where is that coming from? Like I need to control all delete that because that's like not a
Yeah.
thing. Like
Heck no.
like
Catch me
why am I
outside
letting
in
that
booty
stop
shorts.
me? Like why
Like,
am I letting that stop me right now? Like that doesn't make me less God fearing. Like I
yeah,
still love God just as much. And then I think to myself, how many other people feel this way?
a lot, I'm sure.
And they're afraid. And I'm with them because me too. Hashtag me too.
Yeah.
You know,
Like you can't be sexy and love God. You can't
what?
you can't like
And that, oh,
it's weird.
that's
That's
such a hard thing because I want to be a pastor. And then I'm like, am I going to have to give up wearing cute clothes? Because
you're
I
gonna be
want to
like
preach.
turtlenecks
Like,
every day.
does that mean that I have to dress like a spud? Like,
Yeah.
like I want to be cute too.
Just a
Like,
total
why can't I
square.
be cute too?
Yeah.
And that's really a hard thing to come over because so much of what you see in society is like sex sells, so you're almost like
Hmm.
so bombarded with everything that you're like, is me being confident in how I feel and dress an issue, or is it really the fact that society has painted it as, oh, that's sexy, that's this, that's, it's so risque, and really it's not. I mean, why have we so over sexualized things to the point where like, oh, we have like toddlers in a cut off t-shirt? Like what is going on?
Yeah. I see
Yeah,
less at the beach. Like
yeah,
I'm wearing less at the like people are, and it's like who cares? But I think it's like I feel like there's a part of society that's desensitized to the sexual nature of everything because it's been so heightened and it's easily available even to children.
yes,
And that also includes a lot of things such as like some of these parades that kids are at and other things, if you know what I mean. There's
it's
a
just
lot of
too much.
desensitization and it's also pushing it, but only if it's a unique group of people pushing their agendas. However, if it's just someone who is confident in themselves, it's like, oh,
God
you're a
bless.
mom and you're wearing booty shorts to the gym. I'm like, hell yes. How do you think I got this dumpster truck? I had to freaking do squats and I'm going to show it off. I'm trying to get
You're
me a
like,
man. I'm just kidding. No.
oh, oh, I'm sorry that I'm wearing clothes that look nice on me. Like, like
Yeah,
what?
because
What?
I'm not strong and powerful unless I'm going through, you know, something else.
Something else, right? Or
I'm
or
like,
you
there's
can't be beautiful unless it's, you know, to caveat on something else. It's just weird to me now because
very weird.
now that I'm really trying to get out there on a platform and
Hmm.
I'm thinking about transitioning my entire page into that, I'm like, man, am I going to be viewed a certain way because of that? Because that would really suck. Like, that would really suck that because I'm pretty, I can't be powerful.
No, you definitely can. I think that's
That
our
is
societal
right.
expectation.
Yeah. And that's like a big struggle. And I feel like other women probably also
Yeah.
struggle with that. And I have other friends that are like, oh yeah, man, I just don't want to be judged. Like that's why I haven't found a church because I don't
Only
want to
this
be
guy does
judged.
that.
And I'm like, oh honey, that's the wrong church then. That's
Yeah.
the wrong church. Like they
That's a
got it
devil
50
putting that in your
shades.
head. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, that's 50 Shades of mess the hell up because
Yeah.
there ain't no way. Like,
You seriously
I'm
crack me
helping a
up.
church that you can just come to because
Yeah.
because there's just, I don't have any time for that. Like God is not sitting there like, oh, she's got, is that is that a
She's
cut off
showing ankles
t-shirt?
again. Okay.
Oh no. We're not helping her. We're not helping her. Like
Yeah.
like that's insane to think. No.
Yeah.
I would like to help desensitize that. That's what
Yes.
I would like to help. I would like to help break down the barrier on that specific instance because that should just not be a thing.
About
Um,
even in on this endeavor with Risk Valor, like promoting women's community, it's a hard right. So you we were connected afterwards. So I was doing a lot of modeling, I was doing a lot of like bikinis and stuff you would see. And I completely turned because I had this calling of like I have been drawn to like a female community because I'm attracting mostly men. I'm like, eh. I'm like, I want to build stronger women around me and build that circle, but also do something in there. I had this feeling that I had to do it. like whatever you want to say, a calling or a draw, God telling me whatever, it
No,
is.
I understand.
But I took a hard like right, as in just like all of a sudden you didn't see that. And people are like, what's going on? So right now it's kind of like reshaping. I'm reshaping myself, really. And it's like, it's not that it never wasn't me, but people believe everything on social media. It's like, oh, do you just model? No, I work a full-time job. I'm a mom. I'm like, I did that for fun. It was a confidence thing. Like after I was a competitor in bodybuilding, I was like, I liked what I looked like. I'd never looked like this
Yeah.
before. And I was, I don't think there's anything wrong with modeling. It's a confidence boost. I don't do it much these days because I'm like, I don't really have time to just waste like look at me in this cute
Right.
outfit I don't actually wear in real life. I wear gym clothes like
Ever.
all the time, literally wearing gym clothes right now. I'm
I
like,
mean, this is probably the nicest I've looked in like,
you look great.
we're not going to say how long, but a long time.
Yeah, it's like I mean, I wasn't really a true tomboy, but I mean, I'm even now, even my voice is tenored. I'm like, I'm just a chill, and I think like we have that
Yeah.
same vibe with it. Is like we're outgoing, we're funny, and we're just who we are at the end of the day. Like take it or leave it.
Unapologetically.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I'm with you. You want to know what I did? It's funny because my friends were like, girl, you're like Bibles to bullets. It's like really funny.
Yeah.
Or bullets to Bibles because they're like, I also did the same thing. I
Hmm.
got myself in the best shape of my life. And I was
Yeah.
like, this body
Who
with
dis?
tits?
Yeah.
Excuse me. I'm beautiful. Right.
Yeah.
And I felt so good. I also did the same thing. I actually got with Thomas Prusso, and I was like so excited to do a photo shoot with him and
Yeah.
see my body in this new light. And I was like, I really would like to thank myself for working really hard on myself to
Yeah.
get here. And I you shouldn't be ashamed of that. Like you
No.
shouldn't. But people do get this like I'm like, you really think I just walk around in a bikini with a
A rifle.
240?
Yeah. Yeah, all the
Like,
time.
first of all, that thing is heavy as hell. I'm not carrying it around. Like, second of all, this is not very comfortable or functional. Like,
Yeah. I probably
and
seen you on his page because I think I follow him. So yeah.
yeah, and like the thing is, it's just like you
Mm.
shouldn't be. And that was part of the my right now. What I'm
Mm-hmm.
going through is being like, oh, is that gonna come back to? And I'm like, if it does, like, okay, and what?
Yeah, looked banging. What
And
do you want to say?
so you got a problem with that? Like self-confidence, I have it. Okay.
Hmm.
Next question. You know what I mean? Like that doesn't discredit your value as a
Oh, absolutely
person
not.
or what you're capable of, doing and going forth and building a feminine community. Why not? Because I
Yeah.
don't see anybody else that's speaking up for like women
I think it's just a
in the
harsh
literal
community.
sense.
Literal in the literal,
The
yes.
literal sense.
Because I mean, I've seen like groups, I guess, or people that a lot of influencers say they cater towards it, but are they actually fostering community? Do they actually give a shit? No, they care about what they look like. I'm like, this is 100% for whoever I'm talking to, but also the people that have, you told me that you sent an episode to someone who would have been impacted or inspired by a girl who had a similar story. And I'm like, that is exact, like literally
That's
every time
it.
I tell someone this, I get goosebumps because to me, I'm like, that's one person. Imagine the chain reaction it's going to have. And that's the whole point. You're not alone. It's okay
You're
to be
not.
you. There's all these
It is.
badass women, like these people that I'm inviting on here, are so self-aware. Doesn't mean that they were born into the world like knowing 100% who they were and what they were meant to do. I still
No.
don't even know what I'm meant to do some days. I'm like, it's not my current job. That's for damn sure. That's not selling toilets and plumbing parts is not it. That's 100% not it.
I
But
feel you.
yeah, but you do what you have to do because I have a kid involved. I can't be like, ha, deuces. Sorry, son,
Do
we're leaving in
whatever
that
I
refrigerator
want.
box. Yeah, we're just gonna
Yeah.
go like whatever, sell everything we own. Like, no, I'm
Oh
not
my
gonna do
gosh.
that.
And that is such a big message right there.
Mhm.
Even just saying that because people are so afraid to like, okay, I'm gonna say it. You gotta eat shit for the right price.
Yeah,
All right. Right now, I don't like my job, but I'm eating shit for the right price
yeah,
because my job is affording me the ability to pursue my dreams on the flip side. That means
exactly.
I work 8 hours a day and then I also work another 4 hours a day towards what I really want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's outside of my being a mom, wife, right, and
Yep.
responsible person in this world. So it's like you don't just jump from being one spot to the next. You got to like work through it, like you said. We got to do the job that we don't really want to do to get the job that we really want to do. Even if
Yeah.
we don't know what that is, you're still taking steps towards it. You're starting something. You're doing something that is anchoring you
Yeah.
into the next.
I think
So
that's
that I
important.
think that's beautiful
It
to
is. And
me.
I think how you said that is important too, because you have to, like, everyone has the same 24 hours in a day. It's not like someone else has 25, and
No,
there's such a balance that has to happen as a mom, as a careerist, like as a breadwinner in general, or whatever you're doing or studying. You have to have it in you. Obviously, your dreams aren't that big enough if you don't want it that bad, because at the end of the day, like even me doing this, before my son was gone, I was doing it at like freaking sometimes 10 o'clock at night with people if that's when they were available. I'm like, sorry, he's asleep, and this is when we're gonna do it
this
if
is
you want
what
to. I know that sucks because I'm like, it's midnight, ready to hop on and like, I don't know.
and have a chat.
But that's so incredibly true, and to be empowered to, beyond what the expectations of you would be. So,
Exactly.
because I think
And
sorry, one last thing.
no, no, go,
But I
go,
feel
go.
like when what makes you money meets your passion, like that's when you win. That's at least how I'm gonna view me winning. Like right now, I'm like, okay, podcast that, like, okay, the right people, my circle is growing, but it's also narrowing with the right people and the right minds.
Yes.
And I'm like, I think I'm getting onto something, but I'm not there yet.
But you're getting there. You're
Yeah,
getting there. You are. And that's part of it is getting
yeah,
there. That's part of the journey. You have to enjoy it.
yeah,
You have to be able
exactly.
to enjoy the journey. People are so focused on like, this is where I'm going. I'm like, you just missed the whole beautiful part of it was getting there.
Mm-hmm.
That was part of your journey. Like you're expecting the end result to be like this rainbows and butterflies, but really it's the whole part in between. If you
Yeah.
can't take a moment to cherish the time in between, then no, you're not really going to enjoy it when you get there because you're going to miss the whole part that would have made it grand,
And
right? The
and
hard work and effort that
yeah,
goes to it.
no, definitely. I'm about saying, with a mindset like yours, like mine, like other people, is there truly an end? Is there truly a mountaintop where it just
No,
stops when you get up there and you're like, okay,
no.
now I can be happy. Now I can live the rest of my life. Like, you have to allow yourself to be happy all the time. I think
And
that's
on the
that's
way,
something I struggled with too, is I was like, I can't be happy until I do XYZ. And I'm very like scatterbrained. Like I'm always thinking of a million things and I have to be productive or I feel like a failure. And I've been working on that a lot because that's my self-sabotage, is like not realizing, like, Alyssa, you've done a lot, or you're doing a great job. Like, calm the
like
fuck
you can
down.
enjoy it. You can enjoy
Like, chill. Lay off the coffee, chill.
it. No, and I think that's a lot of women because a lot of women feel like they have to take the burden of everything.
Hmm.
Like you have to do. And if you're not doing everything, then you're not really doing it. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, here's the thing. If the laundry's not done, are your kids really gonna notice and care? No.
No.
They're gonna care that you're not stressed about it, that you're happy, that you're enjoying yourself. That's
Hmm.
what they care about because they know what really matters in life. Like, no offense, you ever get sidetracked and you don't know what matters in life, go look at a kid. They'll tell you what matters in life because they get
Yes.
it because they're simple and
That's
they're
so
not
true.
tainted by everything else that's going on. Like, you don't need the fanciest this and the fanciest that. No, you
Hmm.
just need to enjoy what you have.
Yeah. And
A lot of
kids are
people
so
can't look at what
wise.
they have to
No.
enjoy it, right? Just be happy with that. Be happy where you're at. Stand where you are and endure it and enjoy it and know that this is the best time of your life right now. It's happening. If you're
Hmm.
not recognizing it, then that's you. You're letting it pass you by in that moment, right? That's like another point of really understanding your perspective of who you are and where you're at. You know, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm getting there.
Yeah.
And I love who I am on the way there. I have to. I'm the only person that's going to want it is me,
Yeah.
right? The only person that's going to love me fully, it's me. Like,
Hmm.
God's going to love me no matter what, regardless. That's unconditional. I don't
Hmm.
have to worry about that. What I have to worry about is am I going to be
Yeah.
good with it, right? And that's like I'm glad that you're creating a space that women can kind of look at other women and be like, oh, so that's all right.
It's
Like,
perspective. I
like
think
that's okay.
perspective, yeah. That's the thing is perspective is so important and coming from someone who's been through it or been through whatever, it lets everyone else know, A, like you're not alone, but also B, stop with the excuses. Like there's
Like, let
people
them
who've
know.
literally some of these stories, I'm like, holy crap, if I was in their position, I don't know what I would have done. I wasn't put through that specific thing, so I don't know. I can't imagine something, but I'm like, there's no excuses. That's the other message I'm trying to send. It's not just like, hey, you're not alone. This is a safe space you can say, but we're also going to be real that we're gonna light a fire under your ass because there's
I mean,
absolutely nothing. Yeah.
there really is nothing. I mean, if I can be 19 and pregnant and make it, if I
Mhm.
can be, I was on the verge of getting out of the military and moving in with my ex-husband and being a stay-at-home wife before marriage fell apart. I literally had like 30 days to re-enlist, get a new duty station, move from Japan to California, and figure my life out. Like
Mhm.
when I left the military, it was me and my daughter just against the world, right? Like I lived in an Airbnb. She thought we were on vacation. I was like, I can't find a house.
Yeah.
Like freaking out. You want to know what? On the very last day that I had my Airbnb is when I signed my lease, and the amount that they needed was the exact amount that I had left in my money.
Mhm.
I took a leap. That's all I had. I literally was like, this is everything I have, and we're gonna figure it out from here because this is the only option I've got. Like you really do have to have a work ethic. Like you're not gonna make it anywhere without that. I
Absolutely.
mean, even through COVID, like, right? I had a great job. I was doing well. I was like, my life is going great finally. We're making it. COVID hit and I was in California, everything shut down. I was like, um,
Excuse me.
I don't have a job now because that's shut down. And and I won't have a home soon because I have to pay rent and I have to pay for bills. And
Ugh.
I ordered a dumpster to my house, right? I threw away everything I didn't need. I rented a
Mhm.
car because my car got totaled. Yeah, like
Wow.
life was just like shambles.
Yeah,
And I went back home to live at my mom's house. And like that is hard when you're a full adult to
absolutely.
be like, I have to go live with my mom because I have no other choice right now. But you do have a choice. I
Hmm.
did have a choice. I could go back there, I could build myself back up, I could get back on my feet, and I could make it happen. Or I could sit here and cry about it
Yeah,
and be in a worse place, right? Like it's not without having to work through it. I mean, the
yep.
day that I found out that I had to take care of my dad, like, what kid is ready to take care of their parent, right?
Nobody.
Like, nobody, like, what? Like, nobody's ready for that.
Yeah, sorry, I'm
But you
getting
have
torched.
to. You have to do it. No, you're good. It's just like if you're not willing to work through it, I mean, talk about pressure. I know what pressure is, but diamonds are formed under pressure. Honey, you're gonna shine at the end.
I'm bright like a diamond.
Exactly. You just got to be able to make it. Like,
I know. I mean, and you know what's crazy, even talking to you or hearing you say about like you and your daughter taking on the world. Like now I finally am talking to someone who knows exactly what I felt when I exited the military, went through a divorce at the same time, had to find a new jobs, and within 2 weeks had to move myself and my son, like drive across from Georgia all the way to Texas,
yeah,
like 20 something hour trip with a barely 2 year old
bro.
with my stuff, a moving truck. And then when we got to Austin originally, um, had an apartment that was way too expensive. It was like, I was like, I don't even understand how money works because the army like was cheap. And now I'm out and I'm like so confused. So I had to move us to another apartment at one point when the lease was up. I mean, it's been a nightmare, but it's like you just if God brings you to it, he will take you through it. But there's like my mindset was just like, I'm not gonna like let my son suffer for anything. Like he's gonna have the best life. And now here we are, like, few years later, and I was able to buy my own house. like on my own. And I'm like,
Congratulations. There we
thank you.
go.
I'm like, well, the VA loan helped. But I was like, the fact that I
You
could
did
even
it.
do
You did
that. Yeah.
that.
I was like, this is amazing. And it was during like COVID, obviously, when we started looking. But I was like, all I want is a big backyard with him for him. Like for my mailbox to be like in my driveway and not like, some other building. Because
Somewhere else.
apartments was my life forever. So I'm like, it was the little things that mattered to me. And like when I saw this house, I had a little playground in the back, and I was like, this is perfect. Like my son's gonna love
Yes.
this. And now it's like, it's our first little, our little home. But it's like that
First little
journey, and
one.
like being able to talk to you and be like, you and your daughter had to take on the world. It's like, and there's only two mindsets in my opinion. It's like you're either gonna freaking make it happen, like no matter what, like, oh, that sucks, but we're gonna do it.
Oh wow.
Let's
Yeah.
run it, send it. Or
Send
B,
it.
you're just gonna give up.
Full send.
Full send. It's always full send with me. I'm
It's always
like,
full
well,
send.
I might cry while I'm doing it. This fucking stuff.
Exactly.
I'm gonna do it. It's gonna get done.
I mean, there's times like you said, like with a
Yeah.
3-year-old, right? We had an empty apartment, no furniture. I bought her a beanbag chair, and
Yeah.
it was her birthday, and I like put some stuff on the walls, and I was like, "Happy birthday!" Like,
Yeah.
like we're gonna
I
make it
know.
happen. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, the only thing we have in this house is a bowl, and what did I have? I had a cake pan that I bought because I've always made her birthday cakes.
Yeah.
Um, I was not the best baker in the beginning. They have leveled up since, but I made it happen, right? And,
Yeah.
and like you said, that's how it is. You have to make it. You just have to. Like, and even if you don't have kids, make it happen for yourself. Like,
And then
don't
you
you
really
love
don't have an
you
excuse.
enough to like make it for you, girl? Like,
Mm-hmm.
it is you against the world. Sounds great. That's the perfect place to be. The only place you can go is up.
I know if I had
It,
this mindset and I didn't have my son, it would be a whole different. Not that I would ever change that, but I'm like, it would be so easy to leave what
oh,
I'm doing and go pursue other things full time, live in a box for a little bit, or crash on a couch.
why
I
not?
mean, you know what I
Do what
mean?
you got
Like
to
it's
do.
that's what I'm saying. Like excuses. I'm like, this is crazy. Some like we're trying to be responsible adults with children that we're like, okay, like they don't, need to take that risk with me.
Yeah, no, no, no. And also it's about like changing how you take it on, right? Man, this is like the best thing that somebody taught me, and I wish I could remember when this happened.
Hmm.
But when it happened, I was like, that changes everything.
Yeah.
There's a couple things. So one of them was that someone was like, you know, anytime something happens that you're confronted with a situation where you're like, oh my gosh, I have to do this, or I have to do that, or I have, instead of saying I have to, say I get to.
Yeah.
Just take the word have out. Say I get to. I get to take my kid to the park.
Yeah.
Yes, they asked you 75 times and you are exhausted and you
Watch me,
just did a
watch
whole
me.
hard day at work. Yeah. They're like, look at this, look at this. And you're like, ah.
Yeah.
And you're like, I get to do this, right? And then
Yeah.
another thing is like they say to take yourself to when you're like, think of when you're super old, right? And
Yeah.
and we're all gonna age gracefully.
Hmm.
But think of when you're super old and this is the one moment that you get to look back on. Imagine if you get to relive this moment. How would you live it then? Right?
Oh,
And just and think about it that way,
I like that.
right? Like how would you live it then? You know? And that hit hard for me because part of what happened to my dad, we're not sure because he was in a really bad accident, but may have been linked to like mental deterioration.
Oh, okay.
And so I think to myself, like, man, my dad was super young. He was only like 50. So I'm
Yeah.
like, if
Wow.
I only have until 50, like, I really got to make it happen because imagine if I'm mentally really only here till 50, like that,
Oh,
I really have to make every moment count. Like, I really have to make it a point to do all the things that maybe I think, like, I don't want to watch this movie for the 50th time,
yeah.
or if I had to play one more hand of goldfish, but I get to
Yeah.
play one more hand of goldfish, you know, and
Yeah.
I get to get up every morning. I get to go to the gym and do the hard work, you
Hmm.
know, like you get to do all those things. I get to go to work because I have a job, right? Some people don't even have a job; they're just working to get that, right? Really
Yeah.
being thankful about those small things is a big part I think of people who work hard is because they are so thankful because they know
Yes.
what it's like to not have. A lot of people who know what it's like to not have, they're the biggest go-getters because
Yeah.
They're like, I've been at the bottom. I know what
Yeah,
that's
but I
like.
started at the bottom. Now we're here.
I know what that feels like. You know, I'll
Yeah.
work whatever I need to work to get there. Right.
Yeah.
So find comfort in those dark places because they're the ones that'll be the reminder when you're in the good places of how you really had to fight to get here.
Dig yourself out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a good, I love thinking about that. That's a cool little analogy is like, I get to do this, or think
I get
about
to, yeah.
make every moment, make every moment count. I mean, and that's a common thing, but it's like a different way to look at it because so many people have to go through or have a life scare or something really bad has to happen for them to appreciate life. And that's a
Yeah,
common thread is like, well, life is pretty good to me until something really bad happens and you get out of it alive. That's kind of like your
exactly.
wake up call sometimes from God to be like, hey, I was trying to tell you, but now I had to show you in a bigger way because you're not getting it, that appreciate life.
Exactly. Appreciate it. And a lot of
Yeah.
people, man, how many women I've had come up to me, like acquaintances, some of them are friends, but they'll be like, man, this just keeps happening. I keep dating the wrong person. I keep doing this, that, this keeps
Mm-hmm.
happening, da da da. And I'm like, well, don't shoot me, but
Yeah.
the only constant in all of those scenarios is you.
Yeah.
Just, I'm just putting it out there. Sometimes we are the problem,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And a lot of people don't want to face that sometimes they are the problem. I
Yeah.
was the demise of my own happiness for so long because I could not get past my crappy perspective,
Yeah.
right? And it's
Mm-hmm.
just like it took someone just opening my eyes and being like, well, the problem is that you don't have a good outlook on life. Like that's the issue right there. Like the problem is that you keep choosing the same crappy partner because you don't love yourself. So you choose the love that you think you deserve and not the love
Mm-hmm.
you actually deserve. Right? Like that's the
Yeah.
problem, right? And really taking the time to, just as you're working hard towards your goals, cool, work hard towards your goal of becoming a better you, of loving you better, of being better at that, right?
Yeah.
Of being that person that you want to be so you can have all the things that you want in life, right?
Yeah. And you're going to keep attracting the same situations or people when you don't work on yourself because you're going to continue to accept that stuff. And you're not going to see a difference because that's what you've been attracting for so long. So many people I find are I always say so many people like I have statistics. I don't.
So
But
many people.
with my personal experience, I guess I should say, with myself and other people trying to resurface into my life, it's like they either have to move on right away or they're so uncomfortable with being by themselves. I'm like, been
Preach.
I'm like 5 years
Preach.
now. I freaking love it. I can pee with the door open. Like I don't even know what I would do if a dude was here. I'd be like, breach of privacy. I'm
Right
like,
here.
I bought this house. I built every piece of furniture in here. Like, come at me, bro. You want to sit at my table? Like, I got room, but you got to bring something to the table.
You better build the chair that you're bringing.
Yeah, because I'm like that. I don't know why it's so scary. And for a time, it was for me. After leaving the marriage, was like, and in high school, it's like I had really long relationships, and I said this in one of my other episodes, like, but they were back to back. It was like
Yeah,
I always kind of found something. And it was so easy. I was like, I'll never have to worry about it. And now it's like I'm so selective, so picky. My standards are high. My son is in my life, then not just anyone is going to come into our life. Some
exactly.
people are different. I keep saying some people, but it's like not me. Like that is, I mean, I am different. I don't know why I said it like that, but I meant
I
like
am.
I'm not part of the ones that are like, yeah, yeah, anyone can come. And I'm like, no, because that doesn't matter to me as much as having a good life with my son and making sure he has experiences and memories and like we're good, you know?
And you have to be. You really
Mm-hmm.
have to be. That has to be a focus, especially if you're a parent. That has to be a focus. And
Yeah.
if you're not a parent, then you're choosing the person you're going to parent with. Like, really think about that. Like, that lack of patience, imagine that with a child.
Yeah.
Add a kid to that.
Mm-hmm.
The lack of patience gets a little bit smaller after that, right?
Oh,
They're not
definitely.
so loving. That's going to extend to a child. Is that what you really want? No, no mom wants that, right? So it's like they don't really have a job honey, how
Uh,
you gonna buy a house with
yeah,
no job?
I can buy anything.
Right? Like, how are you gonna do anything? No, we're not thinking
Yeah.
about that. Right? So it's like you a lot of those things, it's some of those things even come from when you're kids. And a lot of people like to date back to like childhood experiences, and I completely understand that, right? But you've had all these years. Like childhood was a long time ago. Like like
Yeah.
even if you're 25, like you've had 5 years to work on yourself.
Then read a book, like freaking go to church,
Like you
something.
you mean in 5 years you didn't think to heal from those traumas, honey? Like
Mm-hmm.
you gotta, no one's gonna heal it for you. No one's
Yeah.
gonna heal it for you. That's why I went through a lot of different, and this is where I found community in church, because there were a lot of people that had the same experiences, that went through similar things, that were like, hey, same. And God was here for me through that as well. And he'll be there for you. You
Yep.
can have that. You can have that. You can, that is a safe place to be. Right. And it's finding the community of people who are going to make you feel safe in that space as well. Right. Because not everybody comes into it open.
Mm-hmm.
Some people aren't so open, and that's fine, but you're going to have to open up, because that's the only way you're going to get through to who you really are.
You gotta crack yourself open.
Yeah. I'm like, you're like an onion, you got layers.
Yeah,
You got
take it
layers of
apart.
damage that was
We're
done.
we're gonna take you apart. We're gonna figure you out. But you got to figure yourself out, and you got to want to do the work.
You
You
really
can't.
have to want to do the
It's
work.
it's
There's no
nothing.
other way around it.
There's nothing good in life or anything really that doesn't involve work. And I know that's like there's so many easy things out there, like, oh, this is the quick way to riches, and this is the quick way to losing weight, and the quick way to whatever. I'm like, there is no quick way to anything that's worthwhile. There really isn't. Like, what's the quick way to heaven? What's the
No.
quick way to like? Wouldn't everyone be bazillionaires by now?
Wouldn't they
Like,
be?
you would
I
think.
mean, it took me what, 10 years? 10 years. It took me a decade to finally find what I now have. And
Yeah.
I still want more. Like, and that's just me, because I want more for my kids. I want more
Yeah.
for my family. I don't just want more for me. I want
Hmm.
more because when I have more, I could do more for other people.
Yes.
If I start escalating the situation, cool. Now I've created a new expectation, right? Now we're all going to rise to this occasion. Oh, now that's the new base. Now we can all rise to this occasion, right? Like
Hmm.
you want that, because it makes the people around you aspire for more. And if they're not, then that's probably not the right people that you want around you.
No, exactly.
And sometimes you do outgrow your space, and there's nothing wrong with that. People shouldn't be fearful of that, right? Uh, your best friend from high school may not be your best friend for life,
Nope.
but I guarantee you're going to find someone along the way that's going to carry out through the years. It's going to want to progress with you. That's what you
Definitely.
need. People get too
Absolutely.
hung up on this, like, they get stuck. They get stuck
Hmm.
in this one space, and they're like, oh, I would, or they use kids as an excuse, or they use, whatever as an excuse. Honey, I worked a full-time job. I went to school full time. I'm a mom. We coached my daughter's soccer team, right?
Yeah.
And I was pregnant, and I had a baby, and I still got my bachelor's degree through all of that. And
Yeah.
I graduated summa cum laude. So like,
Yeah.
I didn't just
Hi.
graduate, I
Yeah.
graduated. Like,
Yeah. That's
like you could
awesome.
make the excuse of not wanting to do it, but that just means you don't want to do it. It doesn't mean it's not possible.
That's just yeah, that's you giving yourself a reason not to do the thing you're claiming you want. You want the end result, you don't want what it takes. Because it's people think, oh, even when I reach that, like you think the problems end there. I'm like,
No,
oh yeah, everything's just smooth sailing after that. Like, no, that's
it's easy.
that's so
Once you
funny.
make it, you're good. No,
You
no,
are
no,
all set. No, it's
no.
that's wildness to me. But hi, yeah, yeah. I feel like I could talk to you forever, but I know it's been a while and I appreciate you coming on. And I would love to have you again sometime. But you're funny, you're enthusiastic, and you're so open about, sharing your story with us and making it, nobody's alone. But at the same time, yeah, you're a badass bitch. Like you're gonna tell people, do the work, do the damn work. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Get to work
Just
today.
do it. Don't
Not
worry about
tomorrow,
it.
today.
Today. even if it's one little thing, like people think like it's got to be like this big life change. I'm like, just do one
No,
thing, girl. Just do
just
one
one
thing.
thing different every day in your routine.
That's
You got
it.
to create new routine habits. Habits are everything
Exactly.
because
They
what you
are.
do, what did someone say recently? Like, how you do one thing is how you do all things. Reframe your reframe your mind and your life. But we're here for it.
Exactly.
So, but I appreciate. Okay, I can't even talk.
Words.
I'm gonna like take that part out probably.
In my house, we always do that. We'll like be talking and like blah, 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 and we're like words.
Words are hard. But thank you, Andrea, for coming on. I really enjoyed talking to you, and I know it's going to be able to touch a lot of people, and we hope to have you back. So if you can share with
Yes.
everyone what your handles are, what your work, how they can find you if they want to, and all that.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh
Hmm.
man, you know what? I need to change my Instagram handle, but it's
Okay.
Munyeka. It's like Muneka 53.
Yep.
And then I am on Facebook, Aundrea
Okay.
Nichols, just as is. I'm plain Jane.
Yeah.
Um, but that's all I really have is so far as platforms. I'm trying to build more. So maybe the next time we do this, I will have something in the
Yeah.
works to share a little bit more.
But definitely, if you start doing whatever you do with your degree or becoming a pastor, if there's some faith-based stuff that people need to be directed to, I just want to make sure that they know where to find you at. If not, you reach out to me and I'll send you to the right people or other women
Yes,
that
yes.
could
And
benefit
thank
from your
you.
story. Of course, that is what we're
I
here
appreciate
for.
it.
This is true community. We're going to pass
Yes.
this on one person to the next, and we're going to touch lives one at a time or many at a
All the
time. I don't
lives.
know. All of the lives.
I mean,
I want
it
them
only takes
all.
one. It only takes one in the beginning, and then we'll get to around running after
I'm
that.
just letting ladies know that this is freaking real. This is raw. This is risk valor. How do you like that?
Yes.
But it's been good, guys. Be adaptable, be reckless. We'll see you next time.